Hello friends. Now that I've made over 20 YouTube videos, I wanted to answer the question that so many of you are asking. What the hell is an esoteric music machine? Or really, why did I call my channel that when there are so many esoteric machines for making music that obviously I don't talk about here? Well, the answer is that for me, esoteric music machines is just shorthand for the kind of instruments that I'm interested in and interested in talking about. And they are electronic instruments that are cheap, small, powerful, and confusing. Let's break that down. But before we get started, if you like what I do, please like and subscribe. Okay, let's jump right on in. Esoteric music machines, the kind that I'm interested in, are cheap. Now, obviously I really mean relatively cheap. These two are about $100 a piece, and this one, my flagship, I paid about $1,100 for. So this is kind of an expensive hobby or career. Not everybody has access to it. So if I'm going to be interested in something, I'm going to hope that it's accessible to as many other people as possible. And if something is more accessible cost-wise, I'm going to be more willing to take a chance on it. Conversely, as you know, there are plenty of esoteric instruments where a setup is going to cost you $5,000 or $8,000 or $10,000, like Surge, for example, or Buchla. And I really do not know why they cost that much. But I'm not going to be talking about those things here. If that's what you like, if that's what you're into, you rock on, have a good time. And yes, they are certainly esoteric, but you will not be hearing about them here anytime soon. Small. You've probably noticed that a lot of the big, impressive, complex electronic instruments are huge and heavy and hard to move around. I used to wish that someday I could have a Kronos or a Kurzweil or a Korg Z1 or a Yamaha EX5. Oh, please, Yamaha, please, would you reissue an EX5 with souped up CPU and processing power and RAM and memory, possibly in a Groovebox format? Just a suggestion there. But all of those machines, they're multiple thousands of dollars, and or they're 20 or 30 or 40 pounds, and they're 5 or 6 or 7 feet long. I live in a tiny New York apartment with my partner, who is not super interested in my little experiments with sound. So he is really super happy when I can put all of my toys away in a cabinet and just make them disappear. Each of these instruments I talk about, I can hold them in the palm of my hand, which is probably going to be a criterion for most of the future instruments that I talk about here. I don't need a storage unit. I don't need roadies. I could do a concert and carry everything in my backpack. I just like that. Powerful. Each of the instruments I've ever talked about on this channel can do a lot. What they can do, given their size and their price, is pretty unbelievable. So that's another criterion that I have. Confusing. Now, here's the key point. The main reason why I wanted to make this channel, and the main reason why I keep making videos for the 2 or 3 or 4 of you out there who might be interested, evidently one of them is you, so thank you for being here, is that a lot of the instruments that fascinate me, they break new ground. They do something that hasn't been done before, or they do it in such an original way that at first they look kind of incomprehensible. Maybe the name of my channel really should be What the Hell Is That? Too late. Oh well. Each of the instruments that I have now come to love so much, I initially thought, what the hell is that thing? Why would I want that? How do you work that? What on earth would I do with that? So that's my niche here, to try and open that up and explain these things or explain a way into these things as I see them. I don't have absolute knowledge. I know way less about each of these machines than their makers do. I probably know less about synthesis and methods and gear than you do. So I'm just a pretty ordinary guy who's trying to help you understand something a little better so that you can find out about something that maybe you didn't know existed, and then you can make up your own mind about whether this is something that might be good for you. And if you don't like something that I'm talking about, awesome, I'm delighted. I can't tell you how many times I've watched a video about a piece of gear and I wind up realizing, wow, I don't want that. I'm not going to spend my money on that thing. Thank you, whoever made that video. Thank you for helping me arrive at that precious conclusion. So if you're like, ugh, that thing that he's talking about, I don't want that, I'm delighted and you're welcome. Actually, here's where I should probably say I'm a hobbyist, not a musician per se. I'm a total dilettante. I'm a tinkerer. I'm not someone who's ever been paid in exchange for any kind of musical activity whatsoever. I'm just letting you know. Although you're pretty perceptive, and I think you figured that well before this point. One thing I am not trying to do is sell anything or anybody. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you care about. I don't know what you're trying to do. I go off in my own peculiar little directions. I get infatuated with some horrible noise and then I explore it for 5 or 10 minutes. I go off wandering into the poisonous weeds. I am probably never going to make a video where we learn how to make a rich evolving pad or a thumping techno loop. That's probably not going to happen. And I'm probably never going to say this is the best, whatever it is, because the only criteria that are important are your criteria, your goals, whatever they are, your interests. That's what matters to you, so I defer to you. I can tell you what I'm looking for, though. The one thing that I'm always looking for is a sound that I haven't heard before, or a sound that makes me feel something that I haven't felt before. That's what I like in other people's music. That's what I'm reaching for every time. And more than I would have ever thought possible, these small, cheap, powerful, confusing machines that I like to talk about here have given me that. I do have one other agenda item that I would like to articulate. As a cisgender white gay man, as a queer person, I would like to try to make the world and the internet a little bit more safe and welcoming for other queers, other misfits, other marginalized people like me to show up with their expertise and their curiosity and their unique sparkling personhood and their big loving hearts and just share that with the world. Because as Martha Graham said, the world needs you, and if you do not give of yourself, then the world will not have it. So many of you are already doing that, and I think that you're awesome, and I just want to say thank you and rock on, rock on, rock on. So, if you're still watching, you've probably realized that after 20 or so videos, I have finally articulated my mission and vision and statement of purpose for this project, which is a YouTube channel and all the social media activity that's connected to it. I have finally answered a question that may have been lingering in your minds, which is, who the fuck does this guy think he is, and what the hell does he think he's doing? This is the answer if anybody was interested. And this video and all of my work on this project is also a love letter to the makers and the users and the explorers and the many other YouTubers who share what they know and what they've discovered so that other people can learn. Most of all, the people who listen and lurk, listen and learn, and sometimes listen and respond. So first of all, the makers. I'm going to make a separate video about my top 3 esoteric machines sometime, sneak preview right here. But the guys who made them, Mario and Ellis and Fleming, they all just amaze me. They each had a vision to create a new way to make and interact with sound. And then they had or learned the skills in both hardware and software to make a prototype. And then the ability to produce dozens or hundreds of them and actually sell them. Because all of those are separate, highly complex skill sets. All of those things are really hard. And then to have the generosity of spirit to actually follow through and make that creation a reality. So many of us have some crazy, unique dream inside our heads, but these people actually pulled something out of that dream and pushed it out into the world, and that just really thrills and inspires me, and it makes me feel grateful, and it makes me want to try to give something back. I don't think I know anything that these makers don't. They all know their own machines way better than I do, but once they've gotten to the point of bringing a product to market, they're probably a little tired. They probably would like a little break, or they'd like to move on and start tinkering with their next amazing project. So if I can step in and do a little boosting, a little explaining, a little sharing of information, and maybe explore their instrument from an angle that they hadn't thought of, I'd really love to be able to do that. The other big thing that really made me want to jump in and do this in my little erratic, occasional, technically horrible, half-assed way, I'm aware of all of that. I've learned to love it. I've learned to accept it about myself. So don't let some fantasy about glamour and perfection stop you. Just go ahead and jump in and make your own video and say whatever you want to say. Is that the other people who love these machines and think about them and make and share videos about them, they really inspired me, and I've learned a lot from them. And I'm really grateful for that. This box right here, the tiny little deformer, is my single favorite instrument, but I nearly gave up on it. I spent a few months trying to figure it out, and I just could not figure out a way in or a way to make it do something that I could connect to and continue to explore. So I called back the really super nice guy who sold it to me, and I said, hey, listen, do you want this thing back? I couldn't figure it out. I'll sell it back to you for way less than you paid me for it. I just don't get it. And he was very kind, and he said, you know, I really want to encourage you to stick with it. And actually, there's a bunch of videos out there. You might want to check out some videos by a guy who calls himself Tuesday Night Machines. And that guy's videos just unlocked so much about that instrument for me. There's a ton of smart, funny, engaging, educational people out there, but he's the one that I think I've learned the most from, and the one that I'm the most grateful to. So Felix, or Flex, or Flux, or whatever you would like to call yourself, Tuesday Night Machines, thank you, and please keep doing what you do. And let me close by saying, if you've been thinking about making a video and putting it up, go ahead, just fucking do it. I use my cell phone to make these videos. I use an $80 Tascam DR05 recorder. I use a crappy little piece of $40 video software called VideoPad. There's probably better ones out there, but it's good enough for me. So, all right, enough about that. Thank you, as always, for listening. Please like and subscribe. Please go your own way and follow your bliss and pursue whatever it is that you're interested in and attracted to. And please tell the rest of us about it. We would love to hear. Thank you.